Swingers, and welcome to Macca's Old School, episode 32. Today is Friday the 20th of October. We got a special show for you today. We're doing a Danny Karam special from King's Cross. It's the new King's Cross, not the old school King's Cross that we know. We have Russell Manser coming on for a part 2. He knew Danny very well. And we have Killick and another little surprise guest towards the end. So let's get started, swingers. As I said before, this is our Danny Karam special. We have two gentlemen here today that have a lot of information about him. We're going to start off with Russell Manser, who knew Danny quite well, and we're up here at the Cross. We're going to start with you, Russell. Good morning, and thanks very much, Russell. Thanks for coming. This is our second part, mate. Yep. I'm going to stand off camera. And if you could just tell us, mate, your experiences with Danny and what you knew of him, and you met him in jail, I believe. And,
yeah.
Yep.
Met Danny Karam 1987 at Parramatta. Yep. I remember Danny turning up there. He turned up from Long Bay. Very fit bloke, really good shape, to the point of, you know, being a bodybuilder. Very impressive bloke, Danny. Very generous, very kind with his time. Always always had time for the young fellas. And you know, I remember him telling me stories about being in the Civil War as a mercenary over in Lebanon fighting the Mujahideen, and
Christian Commando.
Christian Commando in the Lebanese Christian Army. Very fit, and I mean, and it showed like he was in prime condition. The bloke was an athlete, and but very worldly. He lived in New York, and he travelled a bit, and he was a very good, you know. A storyteller, Danny, of where he'd been and how he'd been, but very honest about it too. And then you know, caught up with him about a year later down at Goulburn, and you know, I can recall, you know, Danny having a pair of tracksuit pants, and I said, mate, I wrote that really good tracksuit pants. Then I went to my cell that night and they all folded up underneath my pillow. He was a very generous, not only with his time but with possessions and the sort of stuff like that. And
he had ferocious side, and yeah, I
never got to see that. Like I seen it with other people. Like he wouldn't take shit, and I think that really come to fore when, you know, next time I seen him was up, and people were telling me that he was moving and shaking, and he had everything locked down, and you know, I can remember him saying, like, because I'm from the western suburbs of Sydney and like Mount Druitt, and I remember him saying, you know, what I'm doing up here, you can do the same out there. It's not too hard. And he goes, and if you ever want to, you know, he goes, I can make it happen for you. He always had time for me, Danny, and I'll never forget that, you know. And then, you know, and then I went away for a year, separated for a few years, and you know, and then back in 1994, I come down from Lithgow Prison on transit, and he was at the Bay. He had the big cell at the 10 wing there, and you know, and the screws were going to put me into another cell. He said, nah, put him in here. So I stayed the night, and we just sat up all night talking and drinking coffee, and you know, telling me, you know, what he'd been doing with his life and how he'd cleaned up running the streets of the Cross, and how he had his own DK's boys, and
he had big plans, didn't he?
Yeah, and he wanted to run Australia, and I think, you know, maybe given time, he most probably would have. He had that. He had the appetite to do it, and I think, you know, and he had a plan, and you know. Rightly so, he should have been a feared man, because he was, you know, with that sort of war experience and that sort of stuff. A lot of these so-called gangsters don't have that experience of actually, you know, putting a gun in their hand and military, you know, military type guns. But he'd had that, and you knew it.
Weapons training and everything.
Yeah, you knew that, and he was the real deal. Danny was always the real deal. It was
and they did a lot of business right where we are. This was basically his old stomping ground.
Had coppers corrupt. You know, he had the coppers on the take, and I dare say there would have been a politician or two in that mix as well. I think, you know, what was going on back then was sort of revealed in the Wood Royal Commission. You know.
Yeah, cocaine was a big part of it, I believe.
The caps,
and there's a lot of rich, well-to-do people that like the coke. So, and standover and protection stuff, and
100%. Yeah, he teamed up with Russell Townsend, big Russell Townsend, who was like 155 kilo bodybuilder, and together, you know, they made an affable team, you know, not to be messed with, you know.
Yeah. What do you know about White City there, Russell? With the boys. There was an incident there at White City, I believe.
With Michael Canaan, when, you know, it was crazy, you know, for them boys to turn on him. Like, I understand, like, I think with Danny, with those boys, I think he was trying to teach them something. I was thinking he was trying to give them the discipline and everything like that, and I think they took
bit of old school stuff.
You know, trying to, I think he was trying to, you know, put some integrity into them boys and create some structure, and it would have served them well in the long term, but they took it the wrong way, you know.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, wasn't it? His demise, and he had no idea as well. Like
didn't have no idea that them boys were loose cannons running around shooting footballers and stuff like that. And that's that thing, you know, you gotta get rid of really fucking. I think he would have got rid of them quick if he would have known that was going to happen. I think he would have got rid of them before they got rid of him.
Oh, mate, I think he would have eaten them alive.
Yeah.
The time he was up here, I believe there was with the Danny Karam boys, there was a connection of like 4 murders and 16 odd shootings. I believe, in the 90s. Yeah.
They were out of hand, them boys. You know what I mean? They were trying to make a name for themselves, and they went about it the wrong way. Now, you know, they're doing like Michael Canaan himself's never been getting out of prison. You know. Yeah,
I was going to say. So they're never to be released.
Never to be released.
The Goulburn.
Never to be released. Goulburn Supermax.
Yeah.
No good. You know.
Unbelievable.
It's a fucking sad story overall. You know, a good man. I like Danny. A good man lost his life.
Yeah.
And they lost their lives basically over what? Over fucking bullshit ego. You know.
Yeah. It would have been a big shock to you when he got knocked. And
yeah, it was sad. It was sad because I had good memories of Danny. As I said, he was very kind. With time and knowledge for me, and you know, and it's something that, you know, some of those things that, you know, and also, you know, like I remember training with him at Goulburn, and we trained. You know, he always pushed me, and it was always that
super fit, mate.
Super fit, yeah. Good boxer, good body, you know, bodybuilder.
Did he party a bit at all? No.
Oh yeah, man, he loved. You know, he loved.
He liked to party a bit too.
He loved it.
Yeah.
You know, once Danny was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
You know, but he was a functioning heroin addict. You know,
as there was. Yeah.
He used every day, and he was and trained every day. He was a functioning heroin addict, and I think, you know, that his heroin addiction come from, you know, his trauma from war. I think, you know what I mean. I think he carried a lot of trauma, and that's where a lot of that anger and all that sort of come from.
What's the story with his brother, Russell? It's bloody sad.
His brother died in his arms over there.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. His brother died in his arms over there, and I think, you know, that
fighting the Muslims.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Yeah. Unbelievable.
And he traumatised by that. He carried trauma, Danny. There was a certain sadness to him.
Yeah.
There was definitely a certain sadness to Danny. And,
mate, it's unbelievable, isn't it? You've got limited time today, so we appreciate we appreciate you coming, mate. We just wanted to get your thoughts on.
Bloke, I held in high regard. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and regarded as a friend.
Yeah, I really rated him as a human being and a friend. You know.
Yeah.
Surely missed. And you know, big shout out to his daughter. I know his daughter and his nephew are big fans, and you know, and she's.
He was highly respected, mate. I never met the man. I didn't know him, but the respect he had and feared on the streets at the time.
Not a bad combination.
Yeah. Look, absolutely, mate. We thank you very much.
No worries,
Russell. We know you've got a hugely busy day. We just wanted to get some input from Russell about what you knew about Danny, and we appreciate it, mate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good on you, mate. Thanks very much, Russell. You're a champion. Thank you. Cheers, mate. G'day, we're back. Russell had to go. He's a busy man, so we firstly got that input off him, and we appreciate that. Russell was a friend of Danny's. Another gentleman who I said from the start, who's a regular on our show, Mr. John Killick. He's here. Good morning, John. Welcome.
Morning,
and you're looking cool as usual, I may say.
I'm not sure I should have this on, but
it's getting a bit warm, but we're in a nice shady bit here. We've got John's input because you've written about Danny Karam.
Well, I've written the book about Russell Manser.
And
I got his whole story, and Danny Karam came into the book. And as they said, they met in '87, and Russell related quite a bit about, because I've got to put it here, although I'd never met Danny Karam.
Either have I.
You would think that I would have, because the amount of jail that I've done and the jails that I've been in, you would have thought that I would have bumped into him, but we just went different jails. I was in different states, and I never met, but I heard a lot about him. And what I'd like to do here, I think, and I'll talk about the book, but what I'd like to do here is just give my opinion, because I was with Lucy, and it was December 1998, about mid-December 1998, when Danny Karam was shot 16 times.
It was. You're right. December 98, 16 times sitting in his car.
Sitting in his car. Now, that was just outside his house. He had a house there, The guys went out, they waited for him, he got in the car, and they just come up. He
fucking dog act. Yeah, unbelievable.
Look, it was a bad act, and yet I was shocked. Because Lucy said, "Did you know?" I said, "No." But see, I'd known a lot about him. I heard a lot about him. And what got me is that everybody I knew spoke about Danny Karam in the jail. All said what a nice guy he was.
Yeah.
That he helped young guys. That he was good-hearted. That he put people on their feet. So what you were talking about earlier, the two sides to Danny Karam, and I mentioned in the book, Russell's book, Russell only saw a good side of him.
That's what he was saying, because I've heard he could be the nicest guy and he could be your worst devil.
But he also said to Russell in the book, he said to Russell, when I get out I'm going to take over Sydney.
He's going to run the show.
He said because, and I can name it now, they're all dead. George Freeman, Lenny McPherson, and Stan Smith. He said, they've been running for a long time. He said they don't know how to run drugs. They don't know nothing about it. It's time when you guys stepped up. I'm the guy, and I'm going to run.
He was stating
and he was on the way to running Sydney. But what happened, and I heard, and I don't know if it was true, I heard that they actually, those guys actually tried to give him a hot shot. But he got wind of it somehow and did not take it. So they did what they did. Now,
I didn't know he had a drug problem, like a heroin problem. I knew he partied, but I didn't know
he had a heroin problem. It's fair to say that. You can't cover these things up. It's out there. But look, I think it's great we're doing this to get it across, because the media, with high-profile crimes, they always paint one person, which they can. And what they've done, Danny Karam, I saw a part, a summary of Danny Karam's story on when they did it on Underbelly, and they made him out to be a bloody monster.
Oh, they did. They did, mate. They've done a few things like that. Underbelly and then Suburban Gangsters and all these freaking shows.
So many people, Russell's told us the opposite. He wasn't like that. He was a quiet guy. I know so many people that knew him said, John, he wasn't like that. But and if you're going to take over Sydney, you've got to have a heavy side here. So, but
and those boys, he's Danny Karam boys, that like guy.
Well,
they were pretty fucking wild and full of drugs.
Boys, they were, but I've got to say this. I met Michael Karam, and I'm just shocked that he did, because to me he was always a gentleman. I met his family. They were nice people. They're poor buggers. They're going to put up their sons in jail for the rest of their life. It's just a tragic story. It's a tragedy this happened. And it's just things that I don't know how they got misconstrued, and that's what can happen when people are taking drugs. It's just what can happen too.
That's right.
But they apparently, what I was told, that they thought that Danny was ripping them off. They were doing all the hard work, and he was taking the profits. Whether that's true or not, that's apparently their belief. And
you've got the paranoia. If you think someone's ripping you off and you're on the gear, you've got that paranoia too.
Well, as you said, they're pretty wild. They were pretty wild, those young guys. But to meet Michael, look, you just wouldn't think the guy's a gentleman when I met him. So it's the portrayal that the media give of people, particularly if they've got a criminal background, is totally wrong. And if people can get my book, contact me. You can arrange to get the book. It's the Voice of Survivor, the Russell Manser story that I wrote a couple of years ago. It's a really great book. It's about Russell Manser, but it's quite a bit about Danny Karam in there. And I remember him telling me that Danny was telling Russell about his brother dying in his arms, and he was actually crying. And so this is another side.
Look, I can tell with just talking to Russell too, John, that Russell really did look at him as a friend.
He did.
Like he was just that, we didn't have much time with Russell, unfortunately, but he was just getting a bit upset just talking about when he got knocked. And
because I think he knows his family, and but I know people that know him too, and they've all said the same thing. They can't all be wrong. They can't all be wrong. It's all right for me to sit here and admit that I didn't meet him personally, but I know enough people that knew him to say that what they knew about him, the guy was a decent guy. But obviously there was a bad side of it. There was a bad side of me. I went out and robbed banks. There was a bad side of me, and you pay a heavy price. Danny's paid a very heavy price for what happened to him. But I'd say, like Russell indicated, I would say that that if he hadn't been killed, he probably would have got to the top.
Yeah.
I don't think
He would have definitely been running the show up here.
He was well on the way, and
yeah.
you know, it's just the whole thing's a tragedy ever since.
It is very sad, and you're right too, John. Like that Underbelly, they made out like it was. You know, a lot of those Underbelly shows are good entertainment, but there's a lot of bullshit and TV
like
involved.
Running around like the Hulk.
Yeah, and just fucking attacking people and, you know, attacking everyone.
The cops coming in and bash cops.
Yeah.
You don't do that because you get away with it.
Shoot everyone or stab everyone.
You don't do that.
It's a lot of TV.
You get away with it, you can't do that.
Stuff there as well.
Yeah.
The shooting at White City, which wasn't far from here.
Well, that in itself.
That was pretty crazy night.
If it was done properly, it would make a pretty good documentary there.
Yeah.
What happened there. But I saw Michael Karam when he came into prison, and he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mate, the coppers that were after him were actually a couple of uniform coppers, but they were real goers. They weren't going to back down apparently.
No. Well, that's the thing. And the way he got looted, if they hadn't got him then, they would have got him eventually, because when you wanted that much, and Lucy and I were on the run. Well, look, the thing is, I really would urge that if you can get hold of it and even contact me, we'll get some of those books out to you, because it is the Russell Manser story itself is a great story, but there's so many stories about other crimes in there, and Danny Karam is one, and I think, you know, I would like to see somebody actually do a proper show about Danny Karam.
Yeah.
And this
without the bullshit.
Yeah, this will help a bit, because, you know, anybody who, and so many people watch Underbelly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they get it right. I thought the first Underbelly series was pretty good, but after that, I think they just stuffed up on so many stuff that they did.
Do, and the public, like the news media, it was on TV, so it's real. Yeah. They just believe it. They eat it up. Well, and there's so much, that's why I don't like the media. They tell so much bullshit. This is the only reason I wrote a book when I got out. Yep.
I wrote books about my own life, because there was so much crap out there. I didn't want to die with my son stuck. I'm supposed to have shot and wounded a cop. Yeah. It was in the Australian.
Yeah.
And then a bloke put it in his book.
That didn't happen.
No, and then a bloke put it in his book and it didn't happen. And I got an apology, but it's out there. It'll always be out there.
And it's just we just put it in because it sounded good, you know.
Shot and wounded a cop.
Shot and wounded a cop.
They knew I didn't get away with it because I was in Goulburn cigarette at the time. But we're getting away from me. But it shows you what the media can do. And I think they've done it with Danny Karam. DK and his boys. I think they've seen a chance to make it a lot more savage than what it really was. Yeah. But the killing itself was pretty bad, and we will accept that and know that. And as I said, I was in a state of shock really. To see it happen, because
I was working in the city, mate. I was working at the Strippies at the time when I remember when he got knocked. Yeah, so I was working in Pitt Street.
Well, so many people that have, you know, they talk about Melbourne. When you look at Sydney, if you have a look at the last 10 years, how many people have been killed. And you go back to my time in the 70s and the 80s. So many people killed then. It's and I knew so many of them that were going down. And it's always going to happen when there's underworld people going against each other, and now with drugs it's even worse. And, I just think it's something that we live with. And like
eventually the shit's going to hit the fan, isn't it?
It's going to hit the fan, but like I said, when we heard about this, everybody I knew, and I knew about 4 people that knew him, that was really sad. Yeah. It showed me that the guy was, despite the media image, the guy was liked. Yeah, Russell was saying he'd give you the shirt off his back if he could, you know. And, I think it's pretty sad, and what else can you say about it? That, you know. Well, mate, we've got another final segment coming up, Swingers, and we've got another surprise guest that's come on today. Firstly, before we do our last little bit, because I'd like to say, not Brendan, Bevan. Thank you very much. I'm fucking hopeless with names and memory. It was Bevan, I think, last time on the show. He's been a big supporter of us. He's going to come on shortly, and we're just going to have a little chat with him, because he actually knew Danny Karam, did a bit of work for him, I believe. So this will be the third person on today, you know, that has some input. We hadn't met him, John, but Russell and Bevan have. Yeah, I think the three of us, different stuff we can talk about. Just put some different input in. And yourself, it's putting a different input to what's out there, because You know, I would love to get every story out there.
Bloody oath!
About
Yeah, this is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and show
and get some facts, not some media bullshit.
Yeah, and show how much it's been distorted.
Yes,
but all these stories. This one of them. There's so many out there that have been distorted. As we said, like with Ryan and Walker, there's a pretty good chance that Ryan's probably didn't do it.
Mate, after that special we did, I believe he didn't.
Yeah, and so many people now are starting to see it that way. And then the shooting of Lamb Francis. So much stuff come out, and we brought some of the stuff out, and I think they don't want that stuff to be out there.
No, they want their media stuff to keep going.
Well, I think it's good that someone like you can get out there and tell them the way it is in your podcast. And
that's what we're trying to do.
That everybody watching this subscribes and gets their friends subscribed to Macca, because
good on you, mate.
He's going to go from strength to strength, and these podcasts are going to tell the way it really was. Not
Thanks,
the way
John.
Not the way it's supposed to be.
Well, mate, and we try and do location stuff. This is the new King's Cross, not the old school King's Cross.
It's
completely fucking different.
I recognise this part.
Yeah, but it's completely different, isn't it? I mean, there's fuck all left. The bourbon's gone, everything's gone.
The people walking along the cross are not the same people.
Yeah.
They're old school.
And people say, oh yeah, well, it's good that the old cross. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not promoting it, but the old King's Cross was fucking a lot of fun, swingers. It was a good time. And was it perfect? No. But
I used to come up here.
Perfect.
I used to come over here in the early '60s.
Oh, it would have been brilliant.
And it was brilliant. Yeah. And they do all the illegal gambling casinos. You know, there's just, you can do anything.
Right.
You're doing it.
$20 went a long way, swingers at the cross back then, I tell you. I invested in that. Anyway, so look, swingers, we'll be back shortly for our last little segment on Danny Karam with our guest called Bevan.
Yep.
We're back again, swingers. We're going to do a final segment and get a few shots around the cross here as well. As I said before, this is the third guest we've had on for today. His name's Bevan. He knew Danny very well. He also worked for Danny and has been around here at the cross, the old school King's Cross, for many years. Bevan, welcome, mate. Welcome. Come on, mate. We appreciate you coming. Mate, if you just want to tell us a bit about your experience when you met Danny, what you did, don't incriminate yourself by but whatever you did, mate, just chat away.
Cool. Well, I first met Danny in '97 in Parramatta too, like Russell.
Yep.
Danny was an avid trainer. He was so fit, mate. Like everyone looked up to him.
Yep.
And he wanted to train. Like back then, everyone trained. If you came in with a heroin habit and you laid down on the ground, like you got frowned upon, you know, like because everyone back in the 80s.
It was on the gear.
Trained, you know.
Yep.
And so I first met him there, and he was good to young blokes. He was good to me. I never had much people
he'd take you
under
your wing a bit,
teach me training, and then he'd move on to the next young bloke, you know, and he'd school us.
Yeah.
He'd school us, you know, what words to say, what words not to use, stuff like that. How to be around the Forbies.
Where were you at the time?
I was in Parramatta.
You were in Parramatta?
Yeah,
you say what you're in for, mate? Or?
I was in for break and enters.
Yeah, okay.
Around King's Cross. Up a fair fuel. And for drugs, of course.
I was going to say that.
And so I've been addict. I was an addict for over 40 years. I've got 7 years clean.
Yeah, good on you.
The second time I met Danny was through a mate of mine. When him and DK's boys were running the show, and I mean they were running the show. Like they had everything going up here, mate. Everything was sewn up.
Yep.
And
did anyone try and go up against him, mate, at all? Or
no, not that.
I was going to say everyone would be shit scared. You just mentioned the name.
Everyone was scared, and like his boys and himself.
Yep.
Used to recruit street kids, like not street kids, but street. We were adults, young adults, living on the streets because we had no homes and we were addicts and we done crime and we spent all our money on drugs and so
sex, drugs and rock and roll. Yeah.
So my mate started running for him.
Yep.
And I got introduced to Danny, and I actually had a shot with Danny. And I spun out that this man, this fit, this like Herculean like man was using heroin. Like, what the heck, you know? But how, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
But like Russell was saying, like a functioning
Yeah,
and people did, mate. People did back then.
Yeah, you would never have picked it. Like if I would run a heroin habit on its own without introducing cocaine or pills, I would stay out of jail forever. Yeah, exactly. Because I can function. But when I had other drugs, gone to you. And after that, Danny got me to. He used to give me lists. Yeah, right. Yeah. So because his boys. A client list. Well, they always wanted to dress nice. Yep. So I was a good shopper. Yeah, right. Yeah. So and it was more than fair. And he always used to give me a third of the price of everything that was on the tag. So if I had a $999 leather jacket, he'd give me $333 for it. Oh, fuck. In the end, they used to give me humongous list. Yeah. And I remember back in the day, Grace Brothers. And I can talk about this because I got pinched for it and went to jail. In the city, Yeah, Grace Brothers, they called me the chameleon. They chased me around for 5 years. They couldn't catch me. What was the loss prevention they'd call it? They must have had a poster of you. When they finally did catch me, the bloke goes, they took me in the office and it had all these different photos because I used to dye my hair. I had different hats and different clothes in my bag. And I knew the charge was only stealing. So I'd go in there and they'd want these long leather coats and they were $1,000 a coat. So I'd go and get 10 of them and pull them together and wrap them around my arm in case security came. I'd whack them with it, you know, the coat hangers. And then, you know how in Westfield goes from one side, you used to go across that walkway. I used to run down there through Hyde Park and up the cross and back in. You had your roots sorted out into the Folly Waffle and bang, cash, money. Well, so the security guards have about as much rights as us. Yeah, all they've got is citizen's arrest. They really can't do fuck all. They think they can, but they can't. Well, they couldn't catch me because I was a long distance runner at school, represented the state runner and stuff. So sprinting away. Yeah, I was gone. They used to call me the rabbit when I was young. Probably why I go for the bunnies. Good plug, sorry. But and Danny seen me sleeping on the street one night. And picked me up and put me in a hotel for a week. Yeah, fuck that's, and these are little things. Whether you're a crook or right or wrong, it doesn't matter. These are little human things you don't hear about. And that's when I seen. I need tearing up here, mate. That's all right, mate. Don't worry. And that's when I seen the human good side of him. Yeah. And you must have been gobsmacked at the time, like fuck. Yeah, he goes, "What are you doing here?" You know, I said, "Well, this is my life." You know, and I'd already been kicked out of most of the hostels for using in there because you're not allowed to use. So obviously they boot you out. And every week he used to give me $100 every week. And my friend that was running for him fucked up. And ran away. He copped it the first time. He started him up again. He paid the money back. He fucked up the second time. Oh no! And that's when I seen the monster in Danny, and he took him around. The crap out of him. He took him to the old Hungry Jack's, the old TAB that used to be there. In there, and mate, he wailed him. He wailed him, and my mate could fight. But he had no chance, mate, and he beat him to an inch of his life. And he goes. And that was the end of that. Don't respect me. Disrespect. Disrespect is one thing I won't cop. You know. If you came to me and told me you fucked up, I would have let you go. But you ran. You hid. Or if you come to me and ask for a couple of $100 or something, come and talk to me. You dogged me. You ran and hid, and you think I'm not going to find you. I know everyone in Sydney. I'm going to find you in 5 minutes. And my mate to this day has total respect still. As do I for Danny, and when he was shot, I was in the area that day, and you were gutted. I was gutted, mate. I seen all the police coming down Danny Riley Street, and then I heard who it was. He was shot like 16 fucking times. Yeah, it was a coward act. It was a fucking dog act. It was a coward act. Absolutely. I believe it's more to do with those guys that just weren't using heroin. They were using a lot of coke and paranoia. Anxiety. And they were getting robbed and they weren't getting their share. And Danny wasn't like that. Like, everyone got their piece of the pie. Like, everyone. Like, even people that didn't like myself, like $100 a week for nothing.
Yeah, yeah, just take 100
just for being
have a feed or something. Yeah,
because that's the kind of guy he was. He was a gentleman and very worldly.
Yep.
Knowledgeable, like one of the smartest persons I've ever met.
Yeah. Not perfect, but none of us are.
Perfect, yeah.
Was he a crook? Yeah, we're not trying to excuse that.
No
but
way.
Not like the media and Underbelly and all that crap.
That was all crap.
Yeah,
he was nothing
TV
like that.
It
Portrayed
was.
him. Yeah, that was just.
Yeah.
That was just so much bullshit, if I may say. But the guy, he would talk to anyone from a high level to a streetie.
Yeah.
And he'd talk to you with the same respect and the same tone.
Yep.
And you knew not to disrespect him. You just knew, just by looking at the man.
Without saying, you sort of commanded that respect.
You just respected the man, you know, and by respecting him, he respected you. He reciprocated that respect.
Yep.
And he's sorely missed. I miss him.
Yeah.
I miss our yarns.
Yeah.
I miss $100 too.
No, but that was bloody decent too, wasn't it?
Mate,
and I'm sure he's done that for a bunch of other people.
A lot of friends of mine, they've done the same thing.
Yep. But $100 back then was.
It was a lot of money.
I got nothing and I got $100.
Yeah, it was a lot of money, and you know, and if you're ever sick, and you needed drugs, you could ask and he'd give, because they didn't want you to go out sick, stealing and get caught, because then they wouldn't get what they ordered.
Yeah.
So they knew if you were right, so to speak, that they're going to get the product they want, and you're going to get your pocket full of cash. Yeah. And everyone's happy. So he was a bloody gentleman, mate, and I feel sorry for his family. Yeah, absolutely. He was 36, I think. He was only 36 when they knocked him. Too young. Way too young, mate. If he hadn't passed away or murdered, he was murdered. Premeditated. They set him up. And rightly so. They got never to be released, I believe. Yep. Because it was cowardly, and his family, his kids. Yeah. And like Russell said, mate, had he not been dog shot, he probably would be running Australia. Yeah. Because he had the smarts. He was definitely on the way, wasn't he? Yeah. And he had the people and respect. And that's why he had street respect and he had street cred. Like Russell said, he had coppers and politicians in tow. Yep. And he was going to become the next untouchable. Yeah. And he would have retired and passed it on to one of those boys. Yeah. So, you know, it's sad, like John said earlier, it's sad on both sides, because DK's no longer with us. Yeah. Hope he's in peace. And those guys haven't got a life. Yeah. Because if you've ever been to Supermax, it ain't no fun. Oh fuck! I can imagine it's a fucking nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Crap, and so I don't feel sorry for them. Yeah. But I feel sorry for their families. That's it, mate. It's like someone getting knocked on a battlefield too. When one person dies, you're killing 50, 100 people maybe, because you've got friends and relatives and family and kids, despite whatever you think about the person, and you know. Anyway, mate, look, we're going to finish off with a segment. We're going to bring John back in a sec. Bevan, you've been great, mate. We'll finish off. You'll stay with us. We'll finish off with a last little shot around the cross, and John will come back in, and we'll see you shortly, swingers. We're going to finish off our last segment. John, we've just got you back on. He's looking bloody smooth today. For his thoughts, some final thoughts on Danny and what you think of. Bevan gave us a wealth of information there, mate. He knew him very well. Well, between him and Russell, I think they got a pretty good picture across, whereas I actually never met him. But you know, I'm the same. I never actually. I knew a lot about him. You wrote a lot on him, and wrote quite a bit about him, and spoke to a lot of people that knew him. What I would say, winding up, is that every city has got its crime stories. Sydney, in my opinion, I've known. You know, at my age, I've known so many different stories, major stories, criminal stories. I know most of them. Yep. And this is one of them. This is one of the main ones. The Danny Karam story is one of the main ones.
probably not as well known as maybe it should be. But the thing is, where it could have gone to where it finished.
Exactly.
And
he was established, but he was on the way to Kingping.
Yeah. This is a guy that doesn't come out who actually suffered a lot, you know, when he was over there, and his brother died in his arms. I mean,
see, that alone is horrific.
That alone,
that's fucking horrific.
Had been killed, and this is part of a war, And, and we accept these things, but people got to come back from war and get on with it with their lives. And and we don't know how it affects, but we've seen how it can affect some people. So I think that had a little bit to do with it too. What he became. There was no doubt there was violence in him that could be unleashed, but he tried for the most part, I think, to be gentle with the people that are around him. But when you got the ambitions that Danny had, and you're doing the things that Danny had, you're open. And many people like Danny do meet bad ends.
Yes.
It happens. It's happened right throughout our history, and it's going to happen more often.
Yeah.
We can see the way it's going, but the thing is, it's another story that's there, and I think that I'm really pleased that you decided to do this, because we've brought out a few things that weren't in the media. We've given a different slant on it to what Underbelly's done.
Absolutely.
And we've certainly given a different slant on it to what the Telegraph did, because I remember when he was killed and the way they may have to be.
Oh, mate, it was shocking. Underbelly basically turned it like he was a monster, and the gang members, the Danny Karam boys, they basically had to stop him. You know, that was the way I looked at it on Underbelly.
And it wasn't
what do you think, Bevan? It wasn't that way at all. Was he perfect? No. We said that. Did he do criminal stuff? Yes. But he wasn't what, you know, they made out to be, and that's what I like of Maccas Old School. We try, and everyone's got a say. There's two sides to every coin, and everyone should have a say, and that's what I'm trying to bring out. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong or whatever. I'm saying it happened, and everyone's...
And what I think we should end this by saying, you know, our sympathies lie with the families, not only of Danny Karam, but of also of Macca and the others, because they're the ones that suffered.
Absolutely.
They're the unsung ones that, and I know, because I've been in jail, I know what families go through. And they're the ones we really do hope that nothing we've said here will upset you and bring it back, but we've tried to put a good take on this.
That's right. Condolences and prayers for everyone related in this whole bloody thing. You know, it's very sad. But it happened, and I appreciate all the input today.
That's it. It's happened. It's part of the history of Sydney, and particularly King's Cross. King's Cross got so many stories that you go back and you could write 10 books about King's Cross.
Mate, you know, and what an eye-opener coming up here today. Even the bourbon's gone. I mean, the bourbon's gone, swingers. The main drag, you just wouldn't know at all. So we try and capture a few things. The fountain's still famous.
The fountain's become a meeting place, that's about it. I'll meet you at the fountain. But for different reasons.
But for different reasons. Years ago, the fountain was a meeting place for all sex types, shapes, drugs, whatever. But mate, I had so much fun just walking up and down here, and
look, I used to play.
$20 went a long way, swingers at the cross.
And I played the back row down Victoria Street and Perth-Clear. Now they used to call me the Black Prince. But I found him quite good. I got to end this not about Danny Karam, but a story about that. Perth-Clear was a very famous punter, and he had some famous racehorses, one of them called Eskimo Prince, and when it won the Golden Slipper, he threw a heap of money. He was in a members enclosure, heaps of it on the crowd.
And it would have been.
Old judges were knocking people.
Old judges. That's right. The richest first.
And to get in, because they showed when it comes to money, the race course is an even playing field. But I remember I was there as a kid. I was only a kid, I was about 18, maybe 17, and I was at the Back Row Club. And we're there, and Perth-Clear had this bloody ring on, bloody, God knows what it was worth, and he used to show that off. And a guy said to him, he said, "Perth, can you give us a tip for the weekend?" You know, because he knew he owned his own race. Perth looked at him and he said, "You got a house?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Put it on Indian Prince."
Oh, fairly good.
He said, "You sure?" He said, "Put it on Indian Prince." Anyway, I forgot about it because Indian Prince was 6 to 1 on, which means
Yeah.
you had to put $60 on to win 10.
Yeah.
So if you put a house on it, at that stage, you might have won maybe 10,000 because
Huge money.
Yeah. So anyway,
This is pound? Is this still
yeah,
pound,
it's
John?
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 1962.
Yeah, fuck.
And you can look it up in the newspapers. Indian Prince, 6 to 1 on. I got the Sunday paper.
Yeah.
Indian Prince got beat.
Oh.
First Galera had 100,000 on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
had 100,000 on it. Now whether
It got beat.
or not the bloke lost his house, I never found out.
Oh,
So
mate.
that's just a story. I should have given away.
Did it get badly beat, or had a place, or?
Ran second.
Yeah.
But,
Still got beat. Yeah, and a lot of people lost a lot of money.
I should have. If I'd have given away gambling then, I
Yep.
never would have went to jail.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll end this with a little moral.
Yeah. Very
But
interesting. Fucking
that's
hell.
a King's Cross story.
That's a King's Cross 60 story, Swingers. And it was just.
And
it was
First
all
Galera,
happening.
very well known. Very well known. Yeah.
It was all happening up there. My mum used to go to Checkers nightclub.
Yeah.
And my pop
Oh,
used to be down the street there. It was very well known, Checkers.
Well, then he went first and shot a bloke dead there in Checkers, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And
right next to a couple of coppers. And,
Yeah.
And the gun, he never had any fingerprints on or anything. The coppers didn't see anything.
Oh, mate, there's so many stories around the city. It's unbelievable. Was it Chow Hay? Chow Hay's at King Street?
Chow
King
Hay
Street shot a bloke dead in front of a room full of fucking people.
Yeah.
It would have been,
Yeah,
what,
but he paid.
1930s or 40s? 30s, I think.
It would have been the 40s, I think.
Yeah.
Might have been the 50s, but he went to jail over that.
That was the end of him,
Yeah.
And anyway, there you go, Swingers. We've just tried to put a little bit of input. It's our Danny Karam special. We'd like to thank Russell Manser, who was flat out today but still gave us a bit of time. We really appreciate it. Of course, our regular, John Killick. Bevan, we really appreciate Bevan. Not Benjamin or whatever I said, Brendan or something. No, it's Bevan, and he's a good guy. And he also knew Danny. So we've had a bit of input here today. On location at King's Cross. I wish it was the old school King's Cross that we all knew. It's not. It's just like a little fucking suburb now, whatever. But anyway, yeah, isn't it, mate? Yeah, it's just like a, you can come up and go, that happened there, but yeah, it's not the same.
You
But
can play two up the phone.
you can play. It's just dead here now, isn't it? The cop shop's still there, but anyway, Swingers. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. That was episode 32. Please stick with us, like and subscribe whenever you can.
And get your friends too to do that.
That'd be fantastic. We're halfway now, so we're just about hitting the 500 mark. So we really appreciate all your support. Thanks to everyone today. Thank you to Maccas, Storm Video Studio at Gladesville. Like and subscribe, Monash Road. Thanks very much, Swingers, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Bye.